What is up, everybody? Welcome to another YouTube video. I'm here to explain my Ironman recap and also walk you guys through a full day of Ironman training, because now it's no longer a half. Now it's the real deal. It's the full. Even though the half was pretty hard, we have a full coming. And the reason I'm doing that is because I believe you have to place yourself in really uncomfortable, hard situations in order to grow. So take inventory on your life. If you don't have anything hard that you're working towards, go fucking do it. But with that being said, there is my Ironman bike over there. It still has the disc wheel on the back, and yeah, I just gotta unpack that yet. But just got back from Pennsylvania, so I'm meeting with my Ironman coach, Natasha, and I'm gonna go over and explain everything also in this video of how the race went, what I think I can do better going into Arizona, and also explain to you guys what I've been doing for my training and how I'm fueling my rides, how I'm fueling my runs, staying lean and staying strong. So with that being said, let's get into the video. Now, while that coffee is brewing, I'm gonna show you guys, I've been getting tons of questions on what shoes I wore for my Ironman. And if you didn't see it in the video, they're the Saucony Endorphin Speed Pros. As you can see, they are dirty as hell, but if you're a bigger person, and even if you're not, I think they're just super responsive. They have a lot of cushion on the bottom, and then they have a carbon base plate, which is gonna push you forward. So like I said in the video before my Ironman video, I knew those shoes are gonna help me get my feet off the ground. That's what the carbon base plate is. When your feet get tired, it gives it like the stiffness, the rebound that you need. Big scoop today. Now you have to mix this separately. So, like I said, you want a thick consistency here so it's like creamer. All right, for the OGs that know, I make protein coffee every morning. So this is before my 3.5 hour bike ride that you guys are gonna see. What we do is you just mix it so it's thick, so you don't want to add a lot of almond milk. As you saw, I didn't add that much, but you add 1 whole scoop of BPM protein. I kick off my day with 24 grams of protein. This right here is honestly a good way I stay lean. It holds me over, it satisfies my cravings. And yeah, this is kind of what I do, corn-fed style. Ultimate way to start my day to be a weapon, so. Now real quick, I'm gonna hit a 3.5 hour bike ride at the BPN HQ, so we're gonna quick go there. But before that, I'm gonna show you guys exactly what I have on my bike as far as nutrition, and I'm gonna quick explain that. Later in the video, I'm gonna talk more about endurance with my coach and nutrition, so we'll dive deep into that, but this is just to show you guys what I'm using today. So in each bottle, I have some G1M Sport in this. There is 20 grams of carbs per scoop. So I put 2 scoops of that in each bottle, which is 40 grams total. And then I put some BPN electrolytes, which also has 500 milligrams of sodium. So these two prevent me from cramping and also give me the power I need to get through the bike. Let's go ride. So we just finished up the 3.5 hour bike ride. I am gonna show you guys the recap and talk about my recap of my Ironman with Natasha. She's coming here to the BPN HQ, so we're gonna go over everything about the race and just really dive in and show you guys exactly what I used to fuel, how I felt, and just tell the story from the beginning to the end and what I need to work on. So with that being said, let's do it. I'm gonna start by, as far as like thinking about going into the race, my thoughts on nutrition and everything. Like we talked about, I didn't think you had to fuel much, but what was your reasoning for having, like, what made you choose the 40 grams of carb each bottle, 600 milligrams of sodium? Like, what's your idea between that?
Yeah, so there's basic rules on optimal carbohydrates we need to perform. And it's basically as much as you can get in without gut distress is the answer.
Yeah.
In the past, they used to cap you at 60 grams of carbs per hour is what your stomach could tolerate. However, we're burning much more than that.
Yeah.
What they've found over time is you can actually get more than 60 grams of carbs per hour. It just has to come from 2 different sources of sugar. And so if you look at the different sugar sources, glucose, fructose, maltodextrin, right? If you just did one source, you're capped at 60 grams. Now, you combine 2, combine 3, we can go up. And what they're finding, as long as you train the gut, is that a lot of the folks perform, especially for guys of your size, best at 100 to 120 grams of carbs. So that's actually even more than you've kind of gotten to tolerate and practice with.
Yeah.
And we knew it was a process of training your mindset in knowing you needed to take that much, training your gut. And so we just have to say, well, what can we do for right now?
Yeah. I think that's what, like, I was going to say is, like, I felt that, if I had to go back and look at something that maybe could do better, it's the carbohydrates, like adding more in my workouts.
Yes.
Because like you said, you can feel when you're burning out, like your legs get heavier, everything's harder to like spin over. So yeah, I think like now, like thinking about Arizona, obviously we're gonna have to increase fueling.
Yeah, absolutely, because you're out there for so much longer, and it's your fitness. This is not going to be the limiter.
Yeah.
It's going to be your body's going to start shutting down on you. And so that's why strength is so important. That's why really good form is so important. That is why when you're riding your bike, like having a really good bike fit, so when you get off the bike, like your body still feels good enough to run a marathon. It's these little things that people don't take into account.
Yeah.
But along with that, it's fueling. People just run out of fuel, and what you're going to find in the 70.3, like you are able to push yourself, and you even found like that as a limiter this time, just because of running out of fuel. But in the Ironman, it's absolutely going to happen where your heart rate actually starts to go down over the course of the marathon, and you want to go, but you can't, because your body shut down and the fuel is just starting to run out.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to get that fuel in early, and it's much easier to get it in on the bike than the run. Trying to fuel that much running just is not going to happen.
In the run, I felt the worst because I think I missed the nutrition on the bike. As you know, they had Gatorades. I wasn't keeping it on the bike like I should have. So I stopped consuming carbs halfway through the bike, I would say, after I finished my fuel. So when I got into the run, felt like I tried to catch up, drinking Coca-Cola. What else did they have? They had Red Bull. Just seeing whatever I could. I was just throwing down my mouth, pouring ice in my suit. So I think like we get that nutrition down on the bike, like you said, it'll make a big difference going into the run. Absolutely,
yeah. And that's why it's important to have a plan. Ahead of time, we have to say, okay, how much are we going to shoot to take per hour? What sources is that going to come from? What am I taking with me? And then what am I going to resort to on the course? And then you can have everything planned out, but then you have to do it. A course like Arizona, you got 3 loops on the bike. There's so much going on with all the spectators around you, all the cyclists coming by you. Most people have a plan in place and then they don't follow it because you're so distracted with everything else.
Yeah.
And so we have athletes that will literally have their watch go off every 10 minutes to remind them, I've got to drink right now, I've got to eat right now to keep up with what I'm burning. And that may be a strategy for us as well, again, because it's so important for you to run well.
Because I noticed that it's like one thing affects the other. Like we were talking earlier, it was like one, it helps build like the endurance, but it also like if you don't do one right, you're gonna feel it in the next part. About the swim, how far we've come, and everybody that saw to doing 44 minutes and 1.2 miles. What's the training gonna look like from like the swimming portion?
Well, you've been doing it. I mean, you already did a long swim on Sunday, and it's really you just getting used to swimming for that amount of time. You can expect that you're going to be out in the water in about an hour and a half. We've put as much time as we could into your form, But now it's like, okay, well, we also have to prepare the body to swim for that amount of time, for that distance, with the form we have at this point. Can your form continue to be corrected? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But at this point, we have to work with what we have, pick out a couple of those key form cues and just focus on it for efficiency. You know, honestly, between now and then, there's only a couple more big bike rides. You did one today. The running, we can't really run right now because you turned your ankle.
Yeah.
Am I too worried about that right now? No, because as we've talked about, the better you are in the fitness from the swim, the fitness from the bike, it's going to allow you to run. You know, where you're going to feel it hamper your run is just the pounding of the legs. You have not gotten these long runs in you.
Yeah.
And it just is what it is. Your body is going to start to shut down at a certain point. We're going to try to hold that off as long as possible with good fueling and good pacing on your run. But yeah, the swim is just getting you used to the distance. So we're going to do some open water swims between now and then, about 2.4 miles. You can feel what that's going to feel like. And then again, just working in efficiency of movement, efficiency of form, so that you do not tire yourself out, because you now have to go run bike 112 miles after this. So we don't want you swimming in a manner that you're going to be completely wiped out coming out of the swim.
Yeah. I felt great coming out of the water.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can just I know
extend
we can.
that.
Yeah, just do that.
Yeah. So what were your biggest takeaways from doing your first triathlon?
I would say one thing that you taught me that really stuck and helped me out a lot was understanding that, like, it's there's going to be a point in time where, like, we feel like you're not seeing the results that you want in the instant, and it's going to be hard, it's going to be tough, but if you stay in and stay long enough, you're going to notice how each individual sport, from the swim, from the bike to the run, has helped each one. Because I was getting really hard on myself, because I was like, you know, I'm not seeing any, like, dramatic increase, because I'm not just focusing on one, I'm focusing on all three. But then over time I saw how each one started building and growing. So I think the biggest lesson I learned with that was, like, staying in the moment and just doing what you have to do, sticking to the plan, and then growing and seeing how over time those little workouts of each discipline builds on the other.
Yeah. I mean, I think the general takeaway, you can't fast track success, especially in a sport with so many little components. And I think everyone wants to just be really good really quickly, and it does take time. And I think so many people quit on themselves or get frustrated in that building process. But something you mentioned earlier is, at the beginning it was really hard learning how to train for endurance sport, learning, you know, what everything meant pacing wise. Why am I executing on this workout as it should be? But then as you got used to that, then it came easier to you, and now you're just like checking off the workouts, and then, you know, the beauty of you doing Waco 70.3 is, you know, now what you're training for. So every workout you do has more meaning, because you know it's going to translate to race day.
Right.
So
I would say another lesson, we kind of touched on it before. I think I had this mindset, fixed mindset, because I came from bodybuilding. I did fasted cardio. I thought you didn't need fueling to get through workouts, but maybe there's a point to that you can, if it's not, you know, too intensive. But when you're training for something like an Ironman, like, you have to fuel properly. You have to delegate the time and the knowledge and make a game plan so you can execute. And I learned my biggest lesson, and you really, like, we went to the coffee shop, and I remember I was saying, like, how I wasn't fueling, and you found out, and we had that conversation. And what I got away from it, I was like to compare things to, like, real life. I was thinking, like, if you fill your car with a half a tank of gas, it's not going to go as far as a full tank.
right.
So that just really, like, that whole perspective now I look at it as, like, okay, I need, like, my body is a car. I need to feel it right, and that'll get me to my goal. So, yeah, I think.
It's so undervalued, and that's kind of one of the key components that the professionals doing the sport do right.
Yeah.
It's, you look at just all the gimmicks and all the things that you think you need to be doing, where at the end of the day you have to train, you have to fuel your body well to withstand that training, to recover, to then do it again and do it again and do it again.
Yeah.
And then obviously the recovery component to adapt.
Yeah.
You simply stick to that formula. Over time you're going to go incredibly far.
Yeah.
All the gimmicks and all the add-ons that people like to focus on, it's really unnecessary.
Yeah. Yeah, make it simple and effective.
Yeah.
We're doing that, so
Yeah.
I'm excited. As far as swimming, because we kind of touched on the run and the bike.
Yeah.
Swimming is one of those things where you just got to get in the water
Yeah.
once you have your form down. Like,
Yeah.
I'm still learning, but I'm learning that the secret is doing it more often with the right form. Like,
Yeah.
you helped me get the form down. Now it's just following your plan of like building endurance time in the pool.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people, I got tons of messages about like the anxiety part, and I think you know, that was hard for me, but I think like taking away from that, it's like you got to trust the plan, trust that you put in the work, and understand that you're fine. Like you'll be fine. You just got to stay strong and believe in the work that you put in, and just stay in the moment. Like I kind of said earlier, don't focus on what else is going on, because like if I would have focused on the 56-mile bike when I was halfway through the swim and the half marathon, it would have been like overwhelming. I would have got like, nervous. I was just like stayed in the moment, one stroke at a time.
Yeah.
And yeah.
As you were speaking there, I just think of all the different things that we do that gives us anxiety, right? So I'll say public speaking or preparing for a podcast, whatever it is. You don't just go on and start speaking. You're probably going to be nervous about what you're going to say and how, what you're going to do. If you had to stand on stage and present, what do? You prepare, and over again until you get it right.
Yeah.
There's no difference from that than this.
Yeah.
Whatever you are most insecure about, through constant intentional practice of doing it over and over again, and then knowing, okay, this is what I'm going to do, that's how you take the anxiety away.
Yeah.
It's just not going to magically disappear. And that was so good about you. Like when you had a fear, you didn't stop doing it. You said, I need to do it more because I have to figure this out.
Yeah.
And through that, you just crushed the swim. I mean, that was an incredible day.
Yeah. So like literally facing the insecurities every day is the only way you're going to overcome them.
That's the only way, but that's life.
Yeah.
And that's everybody. It's not just you, right?
Yeah, and that's why you should do an Ironman.
Yeah.
Just like that, we finished up a crazy day of Ironman training. Getting back in the full swing of things, had a 3.5 hour bike ride. Felt pretty good, fueled throughout the ride. And you guys saw kind of what I had to say about my race recap and some things moving forward. Hit a weight training session, and that's because, like I said, it's never a bad thing to be strong going into any situation. So I choose to be strong. I choose to make that sacrifice. I know it's taking away from my time, but I know weight training gives me the ultimate confidence and the power to get through anything. But with that being said, I'm gonna wrap up the video here. Like, comment, subscribe, stay corn-fed. Drop any video suggestions below of what you wanna see next. Thank you guys for watching. And yeah, back to Texas, and it's game time now. 4 weeks until Ironman Arizona.